Rani Abbakka Chowda, the Tuluva Queen of Ulal, blazed through history as a symbol of defiance, standing tall amongst India's greatest warriors. 3 centuries before Rani Lakshmibai's valor, Abbakka waged an unyielding war against the mighty Portuguese, turning herself into a nightmare for the Portuguese during her reign of fire. Yet, it was a treacherous act of betrayal that ended her warrior life. And the saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. It always comes from the ones you love. Ulal, a small principality on the southwestern coast of India, was under the Chowda dynasty. Born into the Chowda family, she was trained in statecraft, warfare, and diplomacy from a young age and was fully prepared to shoulder the responsibilities of her throne. Her uncle Tirumalaraya III, the reigning king, recognized her potential and appointed her as the ruler of Ulal, bypassing male heirs in 1525. But during this time, the Portuguese imperialists had already established their stronghold in Goa. And in their search to find ways to tighten their grip on the Indian Ocean, their gaze fell upon Ulal, a jewel of the Malabar coast, with a strategic location that made it an important center for spice trade. And as part of their first step, Portugal demanded that Ulal pay tribute to them. This was part of their strategy to subdue smaller kingdoms and secure a stranglehold on coastal trade routes. But for Abbakka, this demand was seen as an insult to Ulal's sovereignty. Angered by this act, she rejected Portugal's demand outright. This ignited the conflict and sparked anger within Portugal camp. Rani Abbakka knew Portugal will reach her kingdom soon. Faced with this threat, Abbakka formed alliances across her kingdom by setting aside caste and religious divisions. Warriors from diverse communities joined hands to fight side by side. This unity, rare for the time, became a powerful symbol of resistance against colonial oppression. Just as expected by Abbakka, in 1555, Portuguese sent Admiral Don Alvaro de Silveira to capture Ulal. Alvaro targeted Ulal's thriving port, seeking to choke its trade and force the queen into submission. But Abbakka organized a navy composed of local fishermen, merchants, and warriors. Her newly formed naval force ambushed and disrupted Portuguese ships, using knowledge of the coastline, forcing Portuguese forces to retreat. While the Portugal force was reeling from their humiliating loss, Abbakka formed alliances with Bijapur Sultanate, Ahmednagar Sultanate, and the Zamorin of Calicut, who were already tired of Portugal invasion. And in a bold move, the newly formed alliance launched a daring attack against Portuguese fort at Mangalore and destroyed the fort, forcing the Portuguese to flee, sending a powerful message that the colonial empire was not invincible. Enraged by this act, in 1567, the Portuguese launched a series of brutal attacks on Ulal. The first attack on Ulal in 1567 was led by General João Peixoto. With overwhelming forces, Portugal sought to break the resolve of Abbakka. But despite being outnumbered, Abbakka's forces used guerrilla tactics to resist the Portuguese onslaught. With sharp strategic maneuvers, Abbakka dealt significant losses to the Portuguese. In the second attack, the same João Peixoto returned with vengeance. This time, he was better prepared and more relentless. Portugal's army laid siege to the city. As the Portuguese forces took control of Ulal, Abbakka was forced to retreat and seek refuge in a mosque away from Portuguese eyes. That very night, when Portuguese were celebrating their victory, Abbakka with 200 hand-picked soldiers launched a surprise attack on the unsuspecting Portuguese forces. In the cover of darkness, Abbakka and her soldiers infiltrated the Portuguese camp, killing the general and most of his men. The loss of General Peixoto and many soldiers severely weakened the Portuguese hold on Ulal and set back their plans to control the region. But it was in this crucial juncture something unexpected happened. Abbakka's husband, Lakshmapa Bangaraja, was unable to accept her ways, and the constant political strains in their marriage made Lakshmapa to align with the Portuguese. Lakshmapa, knowing Abbakka's military strategies and intricate defenses of Ulal, betrayed her by revealing critical information to the Portuguese. With the knowledge of Abbakka's defense strategies in hand, the Portuguese launched a renewed attack on Ulal. This time, Portuguese forces were able to breach the city's defenses easily. Abbakka fought valiantly, but the betrayal had already taken its toll on her. Her warriors, though loyal, were overwhelmed by the might of the Portuguese military. And in the end, the warriors were slain and Abbakka was captured and taken as prisoner by the Portuguese. However, even in captivity, Abbakka fought her captors and died fighting for her freedom, immortalizing her valor and warriorhood into a legend for generations to come.